From the tailgate lot to the studio, this is Friday Football Tailgate outside the Hashmarks, where the stories, the strategy, and the spirit of high school football go much deeper than just playing the game every week. We are excited to bring you our first podcast of the season. We will be talking about the matchups for the week, breaking down the games, and giving you our predictions on who we think is going to win the big game. We also have a few special guests joining us tonight and bringing you the kind of football conversation that doesn't stop when the lights go out on Friday night. Ken, we got a good one tonight. Joining us on the show tonight, we got former NFL wide receiver David Kircus and one of the best football coaches in the state of Michigan for Detroit Catholic Central, Justin Cessante. We got a good one. But Ken, it's Halloween tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm going to be taking my son Kavik out to trick or treat somewhere in the Niles or Granger area. What are you doing for Halloween tomorrow, and what are you dressing up as?
Well, I typically don't dress up, but I just like to hand out the candy at the house, live in a great neighborhood. The coolest thing about the neighborhood I live in, there's not a street light in the area. So kids come out, it's a great place to go, not many cars. I just love to hand out the candy and see the costumes for the kids. Well,
Ken, I like that. Hopefully you're not the guy that puts the bucket out there and goes in the house. We want to see your faces when we go out trick-or-treating. So I know Kavik's excited. I'm excited. I'll dress up. I'm the kind of guy that likes to sit around the house, jump out and scare people, maybe put a Michael Myers mask on. So it should be fun, and we're excited about Halloween coming up.
Absolutely. Great time of the year. Looks like we're going to have some good weather again.
Absolutely. Ken, we had a great show last week. On the show last week, we had Edwardsburg head coach Dan Purley and running back coach for Niles, Lonnie Jones. Those guys were locked in. They were fired up, and that was a great football game that we had, and we had a chance to go out and cover that football game. Ken, we had a good time. We hung out in the crowd. Let's get a little bit of a recap of what we did last Friday night. Niles wants nothing more than to come into Edwardsburg tonight and win their third consecutive conference championship.
It's a possible conference championship outright tonight. What do you tell the kids about this week?
We talked about it. We talked about it. You know, we really, it would be ideal if we didn't have to share it with somebody we've already beaten. So That's the way we feel about it.
Niles gets the football first. They go right down and score a 1-yard touchdown by Brandon Walsh. Edwardsburg gets the football back. They stall out. Niles gets the football back again. They go down and punch it in. Alex Anderson. Niles did exactly what they needed to do. They stopped Edwardsburg on offense multiple times.
Interception gave it back to them. Last second play in the first half, Niles gives up a touchdown, and we got a game now. Unfortunately, the extra point was missed, and so that changes a little bit, but still, Edwardsburg is one play away or one drive away from tying this game up.
Not a lot of scoring in the third quarter, Ken. The teams went up and down the field, but no points put on the board. But early in the fourth, with a minute gone by, Edwardsburg has just punched it in. They're going for the 2-point conversion right now to try to tie this football game. And
no good. Big stop by Niles right there. That changed the dynamics. But right now, it's all momentum on Edwardsburg. Hey, Friday Football Tailgate's here. You guys having fun tonight? Yeah! Let me hear it. Go Vikings! Go! Vikings! Go! Vikings! Go! Vikings!
But finally, at the end, Niles is able to take a short field after a stop on downs, go 25 yards and punch it in for the game-winning touchdown.
The great rivalry just keeps getting better. They didn't disappoint tonight. The fans on both sides were great. The crowd was wonderful. The night was beautiful.
Niles Vikings, conference champs, 9-0 for the first time since 1979. Ken, it's playoff time in the state of Michigan, and we got some big matchups this week all over the state of Michigan, but we're going to kick it off in the UP to a team that's close to your heart and my heart. Menominee versus Manton. This is our featured game of the week. Menominee's averaging over 50 points a game. Their offense is electric. It's an old school offense, Ken. Talk to me a little bit about this matchup, and what do you think about this game?
Well, 9-0. Here we are, Menominee again. They've been in the playoffs every year in the last 30 years, except for 2018 or 16, I think, 2018 and 1995. So they're right where they belong, do what they do. Coach Brent's done a nice job, his fourth year on the job. Like I said, they're scoring a lot of points. It's a little different offense, but they do throw it a little bit. They got a couple of kids that have played at the varsity for a couple of years. Their receiver, we'll talk about him in a minute. They've been on the varsity for 4 years. Quarterbacks, actually the brother of the quarterback that played in the state championship a couple of years ago. So we got some good players coming up. We'll talk about them here.
Oh, yeah, we absolutely do. Menominee special to my heart. I go up there about twice a year. One of my best friends, Jason Boucher, professional basketball player in Germany. We're super close. He's the greatest basketball player I've ever seen in my life. He played for Menominee, so it's really special to my heart. And the head coach for Menominee, you have some special bond with, right?
Yeah, he actually coached in Stevenson 9 years ago. He was a 20-year head coach at Stevenson, did a great job, a lot of success, had some wins, lots of big wins. Kids loved him. But for some reason, somebody that was a little higher up than that didn't like him, and they let him go. So, when they let him go, somebody else was going to win. And Menominee won in this situation. He was the assistant coach 5 years prior to this as a football coach for Menominee, and then he took over the head coaching job 4 years ago and has done a phenomenal job. Like I said, his second year, he makes it to the state championship, and they lose a tough one to Aluminum Christi.
Yeah, I mean, Menominee's been good for a long time. They've won a bunch of state championships. That's a football factory up there. We've seen a little bit of their offense earlier in the season. Portage Northern runs an offense that's very similar to this offense. So they have they have no quarterback, a bunch of running backs. They aren't going to throw the football a lot, but you said they do throw the football. So just talk to me a little bit about this offense. You don't really see this much in high school football.
Yeah, I think this year it's a blend of the old school and what they have on. You talk about a quarterback. Actually, the quarterback's pretty good. He's getting recruited by some Division II schools, some Gilead schools, a lot of Division III schools. He was a player of the year in the conference. And like I said, 2 years ago, his brother was on the state championship game team as a quarterback. He was a tight end. Now he's taking him and his replacement. His name is Tanner Turkoff, 6'3", 185. Good arm, throws it around pretty good. He's got a tight end that's really good. Tight end Nathan Kopp, 4-year starter at tight end. He became the all-time receptions leader in Menominee Maroon history. So I know that might seem a lot because they don't throw the ball a lot, but the kid's been around for a long time and he's very good. So really impressive on the offensive side. They're pretty good. They're tough up front. They got a good line. But I think that team, they score a lot of points, but defense, what I said before, wins championships. And, boy, they got a tough defense.
Oh, they absolutely do. Now, we've talked about Menominee a lot. Talk to me a little bit about Manton. They're on a little bit of a winning streak, Ken. What do they need to do to have a chance to win this football game?
Well, they're going to have to stop them. I mean, they've scored a lot of points, and maybe they say we'll just have a shootout with them because both teams have averaged a lot of points in the last few games. Like I said, Manton's won 5 of the last 6. They struggled early out of the gate, but they scored a lot. They run a kind of a full house T backfield. Scouting reports say that they only run a few plays, but they run them very, very well. And so they're gonna have to be successful. They're gonna have to be efficient. I think they're gonna have to outscore Menominee to win. I think Menominee's got too many tools. Menominee's got 7 or 8 kids back that have played a lot of football over the last couple of years. A couple of those kids were on that state championship run team that they had 2 years ago. So there's some experience, and then they got a good mixture of juniors that play. But to Manton, I think they have to score a lot of points, and maybe they're hoping. Menominee last year they had 5 turnovers in their regional football game, and lost to North Muskegon. Menominee had 5 turnovers in the previous 11 games. And they had 5 in that one. So maybe Manton's hoping they'll have a little repeat. But I think that's what's going to happen if Manton's going to beat them. I think Menominee's just too much.
Oh, absolutely, Ken. And obviously you're taking Menominee. I think I'm going to take Menominee. Menominee's been a state powerhouse since I was in high school. They've won a bunch of state championships. They played for a bunch of state championships. It's a very good football program. I think they're going to roll in this football game. I'm taking Menominee over Manton, 42-14.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm not sure what the score was. I think it's going to be pretty good. Manton's got to travel 5.5 hours to get there. I'm going to mention 2 kids on defense, or a couple kids on defense that are really good. First of all, they can throw 2 kids that are 300 pounds plus on the line. So if you put those big dudes right there in the middle, that's tough to stop. But they have 2 linebackers behind them. One is a player of the year, Nathan Nelson, linebacker, really, really good. Moves laterally, sees the field, reads his stuff really good. And then he's got a linebacker, Landon Daniel, that really pushes him. These 2 kids compete against each other to make each other better. They're buddies, but they want each other to be better. So it's a game within a game between this kid and the other. And then they got this kid named Dawson Bardowski. He's in the backfield of the defense, and he kind of scours the backfield and cleans everything up. So their defense is really good. I've said it before. I said it a couple minutes ago. Defense wins championships. This is a really good defensive football team with some really, really good defensive players on that end of the ball. So I think Menominee runs away with it, and I think Manton has a long ride home Saturday night.
5.5 hour drive is long after a tough loss. But Ken, that's not the only game in the state of Michigan. We got some other games we need to talk about and do some predictions. And we're going to start it off with a little rapid fire. We got Dowagiac versus Berrien Springs. Berrien Springs beat Dowagiac earlier in the season, 21-0. Dowagiac came back, beat Buchanan, so they had a 3-way tie in the Lakeland Conference. Ken, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I've been looking at this for a long time. I can't figure it out. I can't figure Berrien Springs out. I can't figure Dowagiac out the last couple of years. It's tough. I mean, we went to Dowagiac last year, right? I mean, I know you're Dowagiac, and that's probably where you picked with your heart, but everybody had Dowagiac, and then just Buchanan just absolutely cleaned them up. Now, Buchanan pulled a little tricky there with their lineman quarterback situation. I just can't figure either one of those out, but it's at Berrien Springs. You know, Ben Eilish done a good job over the last couple of years. There's some talent there. I'm going to go with Berrien Springs. Home field advantage, I'm going to stick with them.
Well, and Ken, I haven't been a homer lately. I've been picking against Dowagiac a lot, and I'm not going to say I got any bad emails or any bad text messages, but I'm not sure I've had a lot of fans in Dowagiac, but I am a Chieftain, and I think I'm going to take Dowagiac to win this football game. They're going to go into Berrien Springs. They're going to get it done somehow, some way. Dwayne Davis, Mike Wolford, Dan Vaughn, they're going to find a way to put enough together to score enough points and win this football game 28-21.
Well, hey, they're close by. I like it, right? There's going to be a lot of people there. Probably a little late coming because of Halloween, but it'll be a great game. I'll take in Berrien Springs. You take Dowagiac. We'll see who wins.
All right. Well, we got some more games to get into, Ken. One that we talked about last week, Paw Paw versus Three Rivers. This is a rematch from a few weeks ago. Paw Paw won that game going away. Talk to me a little bit about Paw Paw versus Three Rivers, and what did you think? It's hard to beat a team twice, Ken.
It is, but the way Paw Paw's been playing, I just don't see those guys. Again, they're at home. They've been rolling. They had a big game last week with Vicksburg. They beat Three Rivers before. Three Rivers just not there yet. And Paw Paw is just, since week 3, has really showed they're back on track. And it looks like they're even better than they were last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they started out 0-3, then they went to Edwardsburg, beat them 35-7. They have turned their whole season around. They've won 6 straight games. Paw Paw looks really good right now. I'm taking Paw Paw to roll Three Rivers again, 42-21. I think Three Rivers will keep it a little bit closer. It's hard to beat a team twice, like I talked about, but I think Paw Paw is going to win this football game all day long.
Yeah. Paw Paw is just, we talked last week too, when you get late in the season, it gets cold out. These guys run the ball really good. Ben Miller and the big guys up front, just too much for Three Rivers.
Absolutely. But we got a big one. We covered Niles last week. Niles struggled on offense. They struggled to move the football in the second half. Edwardsburg had a chance to win that football game. Now Niles has to play the defending state champs in Division III. Now they've lost 20 seniors. It's not the same football team. They have a new head coach, but they run the wing tee just about as good as anybody. Talk to me about Niles and Zeeland West.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. Niles, I think, got kind of a run the deal maybe on this one. So Zeeland West beats Zeeland East during the regular season, but yet Zeeland East is below Zeeland West in the top 4 in this region or district, right? So Niles actually has to play the team that is better than whatever. Crazy. But 2 things. Both those Zeeland's programs are good. Like you said, coming off that state championship last year. Niles, I'm not worried about their defense. I think their defense is really good. They did a great job last week. They were pinned in their end of the field most of the second half, and they did a really good job of holding off. Now, I'm more concerned about their offense. Their offense looked solid at the beginning, nothing flashy, but solid, and just absolutely sputtered for 3 quarters. So I'm more worried about that than their defense.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit more worried about the competition level. Zeeland West plays some of the best teams in the state in the Grand Rapids area. Niles does play some very good football teams, but that competition level may be the difference in the football game. I'm not sure, but Niles is going to have to find some more offense than they did last week. They're going to have to get Alex Anderson going, Brandon Walsh. Those guys did not do a lot in the second half in order to win this football game. So who do you like, Ken?
I'm sticking with Coach Shaw. I mean, you got experience, right? You talk about Zeeland West, new head coach. They got to travel down to Niles. I'm going to give Scott Shaw in the Vikings the nod. They're still good enough. They're still a great program. They've done a nice job. They have a lot of kids that played the last couple of years. I'm going Niles, 21-16 maybe. I just worry about if it gets close and it gets at the end of the game, or if it goes into overtime. I'm not sure Niles can score in the red zone because they're so one-dimensional.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Niles as well. Part of me says I should take Zeeland West just because of the competition they play, but Niles is undefeated, and they're undefeated for the first time since 1979. That's incredible. They had a great year. They played in the state championship last year, but that was in Division 4. This is Division 3, but I'm still going to take Niles 28-21 to win that football game.
I think that's a big pick, Brent.
And our big one, we have, Coach Justin Cessante. He's going to be joining us on the show tonight. He's one of the best coaches in the state. Detroit Catholic Central got a huge win against Martin Luther King last week. Martin Luther King has 4 losses, but they're all either to Cass Tech, Detroit Catholic Central, or some powerhouse in Ohio. That's a great football team. And the good thing about Detroit Catholic Central, they had to grind that win out. It did not come easy. It was very difficult. They got the Gash brothers at wide receiver. All they do is make plays. They're great on defense. They're great in special teams. Detroit Catholic Central versus Heartland. What do you think?
Catholic Central is a class of the football, right? So I got to go with them. Coach does a great job. He's got a great program. Things are rolling. Again, home. I'm going to stick with the home theme today. And I think tomorrow Detroit Catholic Central takes care of that pretty easy.
Absolutely. I think Detroit Catholic Central is not only going to win this football game, but they're the best team in the state. I think they're going to go all the way to the state championship. They're going to beat Cass Tech and be crowned the MHSA state champions this year. So I'm excited to see how that one plays out. Joining the show, one of the best football coaches in the state of Michigan for my number one team in the state of Michigan, Detroit Catholic Central head football coach, Justin Cessante. Justin, welcome to the show.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, B-Man. Appreciate it. It's an honor to be on here and love everything that you guys have been doing. And, excited to be here.
Absolutely. Justin, I'd say you've had a pretty blessed life. You won back-to-back state championships at Detroit Catholic Central in 1997 and 1998. Then you go to Grand Valley State and you win a national championship in 2002. And then you hit the ground running. By the age of 21, you're the co-founder of Hype Athletics, a youth-based organization focused on youth development. You're the founder of Legacy Football and the Lead Prep Academy. You guys do so much for the community. You do so much give back. You guys do cleats for kids. I know you pass out turkeys on Thanksgiving. I don't know how many football camps you do, but I've been lucky enough to have been a part of a few of them. Justin, just talk to me a little bit about your career. Talk about your mission and why it's so important to give back.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking the question. And, as there's a lot of successes in life, I come from very humble beginnings, come from a very, as far as my family, my mom, my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother, rough upbringing, and for them to raise the ceiling and instill hard work and faith. There was a lot of bad times too. And just talking about the national championship at Grand Valley, the one that impacted my life was the one I missed my senior year being part of 2023 because of, decisions, not so good decisions and, taking a path off the course that probably God had for me. But, for anybody out there listening, first of all, if I can be where I'm at, anybody can be if they put, God first and work hard. But you learn from your failures because so much in social media and so much in life. Everybody just wants to highlight their success. A lot of the failures, a lot of the hard times in my life has made me who I am, and why I'm so grateful and humbled to be where the position and the path God has given me. I take it very serious, and I call it ministry a lot, because I'm lucky to be here, and I don't take any day for granted. So I just want to say that, because there's a lot of people out there that listen to a lot of people say, yeah, I've done this and I do this and my successes, but what about the times that are hard that you have to get through, that get you where you are? And I know, I know, Les, we both come from, blue collar families. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate where I come from. I always remember where I come from. I always say that you have to know where you come from in order to, and remember to know where you're going. Yeah, I just, I think that's important to always say and highlight, but with that being said, I was blessed to grow up on the west side of Detroit, and then Dearborn Heights. I was born in Detroit and raised on the west side, and always have a really good group of people and friends around me. And that first friend or group of friends, Ali Sayed and Kyle Wilkinson, who started Hype Athletics, and being part of that foundation really taught me at a young age, even when I was in college, pursuing my football career and education, and making a lot of bad decisions sometimes, that take you off path, that we always came back to something that was bigger than ourselves and good for the community and kids. And as we chipped away over that, no matter what our path or where our path took us, we were always coming back to that in the summer. And then when I got out of college, I gravitated towards coaching. Well, I was kind of told, see you tomorrow by Coach Mack, which is a really good story if you want to get into. But and then Hype Athletics and helping youth progress and excel. And when we were probably 26, 27 years old, got an $11 million grant from the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. Was able to build a community center in my old neighborhood there on Ann Arbor Trail in Warren. And just at that point, it gave me really good clarity that this is what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be involved with sports. I want to be involved with youth. I want to be involved influencing people, especially young minds, not to make bad decisions. And I thought from a lot of my experiences, I could talk with them and not at them. And I think even in coaching nowadays is really important for the impact, the positive impact you have on kids, because they want to know why. A different age and a different generation.
Hey, Coach, I love what you said about failing. Coach Izzo at Michigan State talks a lot about that. Let these kids fail. It's okay. And then to have somebody like you to mentor them. So I think that's awesome that you do that, and I thank you for what you do for youth, because our kids need somebody like that all the time. That you talk with them and not at them. I love it. So thanks for what you do. Thanks for taking time on this show to share a little bit of that and talk about your great team.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin, I want to talk about your football team just a little bit. You have one of the best wide receiver duos I've seen in the state in a long time. And these guys are brothers. It starts with Samson Gash. He's the fastest kid in the state of Michigan. As a matter of fact, he set the state record in the 100 meters last year, running a 10.4. He's committed to Michigan State. There's some rumblings that Alabama may be interested. And then there's Gideon Gash. I don't know who's recruiting this kid, but everybody should be. He's a phenomenal football player. These guys are not only great wide receivers, they're great in the secondary. They also are wonderful in the return game. Just talk to me a little bit about these two guys and what makes these guys so special on and off the field.
Yeah, well, both of them are the sons of their father, Sam Gash, and their mother, who's an amazing person. But Sam Gash was a legendary fullback, throwback, come downhill on you. They have 3 other brothers, so there's 5 boys, and the house is extremely competitive. Caleb played at Michigan. Caleb's up at Michigan State right now, but they had a brother play at Michigan State, and then another one that plays professional lacrosse. And just how they go about their business, you can tell that they're the chip off the old block, really prepare professionally. They're live it guys. We talk about that at CC all the time. You can either be a like it, love it, or a live it guy. Everything they do, sleeping, nutrition, hydration, recovery and their work ethic is amazing. But they're God given, just blessed. I mean, and for Samson, recruiting picked up on him really late. Believe it or not, I had colleges calling me last year after the amazing junior year, that I think he should have been up for Mr. Football, which he is this year. But that he doesn't look fast on film and he's too slow. And literally, a lot of colleges
Not the film I've seen.
I was just dumbfounded by it and disagreed with them heavily. And I would put on tape where he, two Division I athletes would have an angle on him and he'd outrun them. Just because he's not grunting or looking like he's running, he's poetry in motion, man. He is just smooth. He can make anybody miss in a phone booth. And he's got that dog mentality, man. Like whether it's blocking, whether it's punt return, kick return, defense, he's a competitor, an ultra competitor, and that's why he has a program like Alabama really wanting him to come down there and play, which is obviously a football powerhouse. So he's been tremendous. His brother Gideon, a little bit more laid back, but when he gets on the field, just as an equal as a competitor. He's a 6'5", foot 16 and a half corner that I don't even know where he will project in college. He's a 3-sport athlete. Basketball, starts on a basketball team, lacrosse, which is always top team in the Midwest, and he excels at all of them. This year, he's really finding his way on the offensive side of the ball. Also returning, and then as far as a corner, you could put him anywhere on defense. You can walk him up as a defensive end. You play him at outside linebacker. You play him at a free safety. You can play him at corner, and he's going to shut down half the field. So we're blessed to have the Gash brothers. I wish we had some more coming down the chute here, but I think Gideon's the youngest, and so they're special players, and they're really a tough matchup for teams to plan for, because if you're going to put them one-on-one, which Gideon got some one-on-one matchups this past week in King. They bracketed Samson, majority of the game, but they both had a touchdown in that game.
Coach, you got to smile sometimes on the sideline, thinking, okay, where am I going to put these guys right now in this play? Should I put them split out on opposite sides of the ball, or should I put them right next to each other, one in the slot, one out wide? I mean, you just got to just feel good about that situation. What's your favorite position to put these guys in when you want to play?
Yeah, but I love, see, they put their best corner on one, you throw to the other, but I love moving Samson around. Our offensive coordinator does a tremendous job of moving them around and making you find them, whether it's zip motion, orbit motion, whether it's, stop passes, screen passes, getting vertical. Obviously, Catholic Central, we want to run the football. We want to be physical up front, impose our will. So, when you have to decide, hey, am I going to stack the box and leave these guys out to dry, or am I going to go ahead and double and then, be a little light in the box? It becomes pretty difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin, your football team has a motto this year, and it's a motto that I recognize and you recognize because I'm pretty sure it's engraved on our national championship rings. Finish what we started. Can you talk to me about those words, what they mean to you, and what they mean to your football team this year?
Yeah, man, isn't it amazing how things, what goes around comes around? Last year we lost a heartbreaker in the semifinals. I truly believe we were the best football team in the state all year. Did not play our best game. Hats off to the team that did. But the seniors, just as that year prior in 2001, before 2002, had left that program better than they found it and got to us close to the mountaintop, but not on top of it. When I met with our seniors, I gave them that story, and I told them, 2002 national championship was finished what we started in tribute of those seniors and closing the gap and ending on the mountaintop. And then they threw out a bunch of other slogans and things that we wanted to really meant something to us, not just something you put on a shirt. And so they had more than a dozen of them, and went back and forth and came back and said, Coach, we want to use finish what we started. So it's right. We went 2001, lost the national championship, right, and then came back and won it. And I think that was gratifying for the seniors that didn't necessarily get a ring, but put that football team in position to be there. And we feel about that way about last year's seniors. They were just incredible young men. one of the hardest things about coaching is, the relationships that you build and having to let these guys go. You spend 3-4 years with them, right? And then they're gone, and you try to stay in touch with everybody. But that was just a real special group. One of the top 3 teams I've ever coached as far as just my personal relationship with them, if not, one of the top.
Yeah, and Justin, real quick, you guys open up the playoffs this week. You're playing Heartland. Just talk to me a little bit about that football team. You had a really tough game last week against Detroit Martin Luther King. I think people see 5-4 and they don't quite understand. They lost to Cass Tech twice. They lost to you guys and a team in Ohio that was 8-1. That's a very good football team. It really tested you guys. Just talk about what that test did for you to get ready for the playoffs and a little bit about Heartland.
Yeah, you kind of look at your schedule, and we have a tough schedule in the Catholic League and going to Ohio, but you can never be afraid to play anybody. And yes, there's strategy, like, you want to stay healthy going into playoffs. And, that's a really tough physical football team that would be no surprise to me. They win the championship in their division, and athletes all over the field, well coached by Coach Patrick down there, who I have a lot of respect for. And, but you know what, we needed that test. And anytime that you have to dig deep and find out who you are, and, at the end of the day, I'm a big believer. If you can't play physical football, downhill football, tackle in space, fundamentals, blocking, tackling, taking care of the ball, and beating big-time teams in big-time stage, which was Ford Field there Saturday night, then, it's tough to know what you're made of when you go into something in a playoff game and you get in the same situation. So, we had one injury, but he'll be okay here soon. And I thought it was just a great experience for us playing them 2 years in a row going into playoffs. It gives us a lot of confidence and put us in some situations we haven't been put in this year that I think will pay dividends in the future.
Well, awesome. Justin, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you taking time, and the best of luck in the playoffs this week.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. God bless you guys. Keep doing what you're doing for high school football and showcasing communities. And go Shamrocks, live and die for CC High. And hopefully I'll be joining you in another podcast here after we win a state championship.
Hey, Justin, nice to meet you, man. Thank you very much. I love your messages, and good luck.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. God bless.
All right, love you, Coach. See you later. Joining the show, the Grand Valley State All-American, the Hall of Famer, the greatest wide receiver in college football history with 80 touchdowns, David Kircus. Welcome to the show, David.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
David, I'm going to take you back to 2002, and you're in Florence, Alabama, and we're playing in the Division II National Championship game against Valdosta State. What you proceeded to do in that football game was the greatest championship game performance I have ever seen. 11 catches, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, including the game winner. Can you just talk to me about that game a little bit, what you remember about it, and was it at that point when you said, you know what, I think I can play in the NFL?
I think I can speak for a lot of us on that team, Brent, including yourself. It was one of those situations where that moment for all of us was a long time coming. We had just lost the national championship the year before. Coach Kelly coined the phrase for us to finish what we started, and it was, I don't want to say it was a blur, but when we were doing those things on the field and all those great players around us, I don't think we actually realized the stat side of it. I think it just felt like we had a bunch of players that were together for 4 years, which nowadays that's hard to have in any college team. And I think we were all just living in the moment. That situation of having a game like I did was a product of just so many great players around us, like yourself, Reggie Spearman, obviously Kurt Ains, Dale Westrick, the Hosford boys. The list goes on and on. We had a lot of guys that could have played Division I, and I was just lucky enough to be in that position to be able to have an opportunity to make those plays.
Yeah, absolutely. David, so your senior year of college, you're the MVP of the Hula Bowl. You're drafted in the 6th round by Steve Mariucci and the Detroit Lions. You play in the NFL for the Lions, the Dolphins, and the Broncos. You have a really solid NFL career. But I want to talk to you about your first touchdown ever because I was at the football game. It's a preseason game. You're playing Buffalo. It's a 26-yard pass down the sidelines. Talk to me about that touchdown. What do you remember about it, the excitement, and do you remember who threw you that touchdown, David?
Well, I do remember the quarterback. I believe it was Rick Meyer. I was a fan of him growing up just because I was a Notre Dame guy. So my whole family was Notre Dame fans. So, as far as that moment, for me to really trace back and remember how I was feeling, I probably couldn't do that for you. But I do remember the catching the ball and then going in the end zone and just looking up and thinking, man, I hope I can get a few more of these while I'm here. But that was a tough situation because I was so used to at Grand Valley, being a starter and getting the ball thrown my way, 10, 15 times a game. So every opportunity when you get to that level, especially if you're a backup and you've got 3 first-round receivers drafted every year you're there, you've got to take advantage of every opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
David, I really appreciate you coming on. Brent's talked about you forever, and I feel like I know you, but this is the first time we met. So I just thank you for coming on and sharing your stories and justifying what he says, because not everything he says all the time I can believe. So nice to see somebody in person that really, solidifies what he said.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. Brent and I go way back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. David, this is kind of a high school football show, and you were a great high school athlete, not just in football, in basketball, in track. You were all-state in all 3 sports. I believe in basketball you averaged about 23, 24 points a game. You're a 6'8" high jumper. You were a long jumper. There was a guy that was maybe a little better than you in this state that might be sitting here right now. But you were a phenomenal athlete in high school. Just talk to me about your time in Imlay City and what was so special about high school sports.
I consider it a blessing growing up in a small town like that. And the reason why I say that is I did have the opportunity to play just, every sport that there was a season for. And being able to be on the field and on the court, and on the track like that, it helped mold me who I was in college as an athlete. You go to some of these bigger schools and you got 2,000, 3,000 kids in that school. It'd be harder to do that. So, I thank God for being in that position to be able to be at a smaller town, grow up with those roots and just, have fun. I can remember high school just, I didn't have any pressure. It was just to go out there to have fun, play for the love of the game. Back then, nobody thought about NIL. Nobody thought about Instagram or getting likes. It was just about the love of the game. And, when I start coaching here next year, I'm going to be looking forward to trying to implement that blue collar mentality back into some of these young kids. When I'm recruiting on the road, I'm going to recruit to develop the young men, not to just say, hey, how much can I get you paid? I'm going to say, how much can I develop you into a good father and a good husband one day? I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I listened to a speaker the other night at the high school event. We were talking about culture, and he said, great teams, you can tell if you're on a great team, not by what you win or lose, but by who you stay in contact with when you play. And obviously, winning a national championship makes you guys, it's not always a great team, but the relationships you guys have, Coach Cessante on earlier, Brent, that's being part of a great team. That's a neat thing to see.
Yeah, that camaraderie that's lifelong, man. There's times you've got to work at it to get other guys on board because, it's hard to stay in touch with everybody, especially when you've got, that many people. It's a football team. You're talking over 100 people. To try to stay in touch in reality with everybody, it's impossible. But, anytime we get a chance to get back to Grand Valley, come on a show like this, you got to jump on that opportunity.
Well, we really appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah, and David, we're talking a little bit about your high school career. You were so much more than a wide receiver. If I remember correctly, in high school, you played running back, you played defensive back, you played linebacker. I think you rushed the quarterback every once in a while. You kicked the extra points. You were the punter. Just talk about your high school football career and all the different things you did. And you didn't play on the most successful team ever, but you did so many things. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't come off the field. I was, like you said, we ran the wing tee. So, they kept telling me hide the ball, but I didn't know what that meant. As soon as I got that ball, I would just start making moves and try to find the hole. But we ran that wing tee, so I played, the right halfback. When we did throw it, I'd go out and catch the ball. I did kick. I did punt. I was the kick returner. I was the punt returner. I played free safety. So I loved it. It got my cardio good for basketball season. That's how I looked at it.
And David, I don't even know if you're the greatest Emily City football player of all time. That might be your cousin, right? You want to talk about your cousin? He had what, 2,800 yards, 44 touchdowns in high school? Granada?
Rick Granada was one of the biggest reasons why I played football. Looking up to him growing up, playing in the backyard, trying to tackle him was basically like running into an oak tree. But it toughened us up. And Rick he was such a good pedigree as an athlete, but even more, he was such a good person. He didn't drink, he didn't party. He was great to people. He was homecoming king, and he just was somebody that was truly an idol of mine. And I thank him every time I see him for not just showing me how to be a good football player, but showing me how to be a good person.
Yeah. And David, real quick, you talked about coaching football next year. I don't want to speculate, but do you want to talk about some of your passion coaching football and maybe what some of your plans are moving forward?
So I've kind of watched Coach Kelly from afar. He's made a big impact on not just me as a player when we were at Grand Valley, but just kind of how consistent he's kept his culture in every team that he's been to. And, the writing's on the wall. That's why he has over 300 wins, I think it is, in both divisions, Division I and Division II. And even in Division I, he's the winningest all-time coach that's active right now. So, that stays parallel to where I want to go as a coach. I want to make sure that I'm developing young men, like I spoke about earlier. I think he's done a good job of staying consistent with that. He's a great offensive mind. A lot of people don't know he was a defensive guy at first. So he knows both sides of the ball, but he's truly one of the guys that I'm going to kind of follow in the footsteps of, because I think that doing the things that he did so consistently is the reason why he's won so many games. He's stayed true to who he was at Grand Valley by, not just caring about you, but, I came up with this team concept and it was kind of my thoughts of how he coached. And what it is the word team's got 4 letters. The first letter, I think, stands for trust, because he had to trust you to put you on the field. You knew that, Lesniak. You saw that firsthand. And in doing that, he's got to see effort. That's the E in team. And you can use this in anything you do. It's not just with football, but trust and effort. If you don't have those first 2 things, you've got to get that as your foundation in any team. The accountability part in A, that's the A in team. The accountability is we're going to mess up. We expect each other to mess up, because if you're not giving it your best every day and trying hard and trying to make your ceiling your next floor, then you're not doing the things necessary to be a champion. So the accountability factor is being able to get back up after that mistake and say, listen, look to my left and look to my right and say, listen, I know that you got my back. Let's go. So I know you trust me. I know that you know that I'm giving effort. Let's all be accountable. The best thing after that is to stay motivated, and that's the M in team. If you can't stay motivated, whether you're winning every game or you're 2-5, then you're not going to have a championship mindset. If you can consistently have those 4 things, that word team spells itself out. And I'm going to tell you right now, Coach Kelly builds champions that way. And that's what I'm going to do as a coach.
Wow. That motivated me. I want to play football right now, and I haven't played football in a long time, but you certainly motivated me. David, thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure. Hopefully I'm going to see you soon, man. I'm so proud of everything you accomplished, and good luck, David.
We'll see you on the sidelines, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to meet you, David. Best of luck, and keep working those kids, man. We need people like you out there that loves our kids, holds them accountable, and makes them better. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. You guys take care.
All right, see you later, bud. Ken, talk about our guest on the show tonight, David Kircus. He talked about coaching college football. He talked about the team concept. We had Justin Cessante on the show. He talked about Detroit Catholic Central and all the wonderful things he does in the community. Just talk about how special those guests were tonight.
Well, what I like most about them is that they're so about kids, right, and helping kids. They talked a lot of football, yeah, but they talk about helping kids and what makes them better, helping them accountable, helping them fail. How do you do when you fail? Coach Cessante, obviously he's been on a creative path, but that's all good, right? And kids need to understand it. It's okay to fail. It's okay to struggle a little bit. But if you have people in your corner like these 2 guys, it's hard to fail in the long run. So that's what I love most about it.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 really good friends of mine that I spent a lot of time with. I won championships with those guys, phenomenal players, but even better people. That's what I'll take away from the conversation we had tonight. Ken, we got another great show next week. Joining the show next week, former Notre Dame wide receiver. He works for the NFLPA as a trust captain. Javon Hunter, he also played in the NFL for the 49ers and the Ravens for 4 years. Me and him had a couple battles in high school that we had when he was at Detroit Country Day. So I'm excited to have Javon Hunter on the show next week. And Ken, we'll talk about playoff matchups, who won some of these football games, and so much more.
Well, we've been so blessed, right, with people that love what we're doing, seeing our Friday football tailgate show, now see outside the Hashmarks, and I feel thankful and blessed that people like that want to be a part of this and have watched our show. So, and I appreciate you reaching out to these people. You know, we touch base with Menominee, we touch base with people in Detroit. It's a great show, great people, and I'm thankful to be a part of that.
And Ken, who knows? Maybe we have the Maroons coach on the show next week. We'll see. Depends how they do this week. But tune in next week for Outside the Hashmarks.